Hello farmers and aspiring farmers. Thank you for tuning into yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agricultural New Directions Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030, and my name is Wazanai Manyore. Today I'm coming to you from Macheke. We are here at BLUEGUMS farm where they are into cattle ranching, cattle production. They are going to be taking us through their various activities and ventures in cattle production, so that for those who are aspiring to get into livestock production, they can take a note or two from this discussion. I am joined by MAREE Osborne. She is the owner here working with her family to ensure that they are successful and profitable in their ventures. MAREE, thank you so much for inviting us to your farm today.
Thanks, Wadzanai. I'm very glad that you could come out here and highlight MASHONA cattle, which is the flagship of Zimbabwe.
Yes.
We've been doing MASHONA since 1997, and we had some money left over, and my husband said, we said, what are we going to do? And we decided cattle, and I knew nothing about cattle.
Yeah.
And he said, well, let's go for indigenous. And so we bought some cattle from a breeder, Carmen Stubbs, and from there we plodded along, and the MASHONA Society was a very vibrant society. But we love the MASHONA and promote it. MASHONA is highly regarded around the world.
What could have inspired you to go for the MASHONA breed?
Well, it was really to do with John, who said, let's go for indigenous breeds, and they're adapted. Mm-hmm. For the high veld, like we are, and the sour grass, the flays, they talk about adaptability a lot these days. They've been born and bred here for the last couple of thousand years or so.
Okay.
So they're very tough. They're highly fertile. Mm-hmm. They're good mothers. They're resistant to disease. Mm-hmm. Not saying that, these days, if you don't dip, you will be burying your animals.
Yeah.
In some cases because of East Coast fever. And also when you come to the high veld, in winter, they say in summer, you haven't got enough cattle.
Yeah.
Because the grass just grows and they go in and they just put on 100 kgs. Come winter, one cattle is too many. Okay, so with the MASHONA, they are a smaller breed. That makes why they are more fertile.
Okay.
Because obviously getting pregnant, you have to have enough food. So it's okay having a big animal, mm-hmm. but don't forget how much food you've got to put into that animal to make it cycle.
And to maintain its weight.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, MAREE, I want us to talk about this head, this section that we are standing in front of. Could you maybe introduce this to us? What is it comprised of? The age, the size, in terms of weight of this section of your head?
Well, tonight these are going to go to the bull in October. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're long weaner heifers. And we treat them as a group, and they need to be 70% of their mother's weight.
Okay.
Okay, so we will be pushing extra food in. As you can see, looking around, there's not a lot of
grass and pastures anymore.
We were half our average rainfall this year, and we got late rains. Okay, so my son and daughter-in-law are the farmers, and they grow barley. So we take the barley straw. So we use that. We've also we have a sunflower press. Mm-hmm. So people bring their seeds in. They take the oil. We take the cake.
Okay.
Okay, and then with molasses and salt. So anytime you've got to open a bag to feed your animals, the money's going. And, people think, I'll get into cattle. Well, you better have a 5-year plan, because it's going to take time
It's a long-term
It's a
investment.
long-term investment.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are going to go to the bull, and we would need them to be 70% of their full size. Okay, so we weigh once a month,
Okay.
and we want to know that they're putting on weight, and we have to push the food.
I understand that today you were dipping, you're having your dipping exercise.
yes.
Can you talk to us briefly about how you were doing your dipping? How is it done? I understand that your head is into various sections, maybe the chemicals that you were using, the frequency of your dipping. Is it done once a month? What is it like when it comes to the routine of your dipping schedule?
Oh, what to know, for about 25 years, I'm showing my age here, about 23 years, we hand sprayed. So we just had the hand spray and went down and then tick dressed. So, and that served us very well. And then the disease has crept in around the country, as you would know. What large areas have been wiped out.
Very true.
And as tough as these things are, and as good as my management is, if you get Tyleria, we've had a couple of cases. If you get East Coast fever through it, you're going to be crying. And I just thought I could no longer risk. With the hand spraying, it was great because it wasn't full cover.
Oh, okay.
So you're building up a resistance.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, you know what?
Let me invest in a rest spray.
Let me do it. It's faster.
Okay.
And it does give a full cover.
Okay.
Okay, and it's more efficient. You get the cattle in, you get them out, and they get a full cover.
Okay.
And before, with the hand spraying and the tick dressing, it takes time. The good thing about that is you're looking at your cattle 1-1.
Exactly, and you can even count them as they'll be walking out. Yes.
We're fortunate here. We are fully fenced. We still count our cattle every day. We dip once a week. In very high challenge, we'll use a different label, and then in low challenge we will do triatics. Just as the challenge around us, we react, we stay ahead of that.
Okay, thank you so much, Maree, for that. On that note, viewers, we've come to the end of the first segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. Today, I am coming to you from Macheke at BLUEGUMS Farm, where they are into cattle ranching as a business. Now, viewers, I encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with the producer, Wadzanai Manyore, on 0772-807-506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai, make a follow-up on this episode and more, and leave your comments and suggestions on our YouTube channel. It's Agribusiness with Wadzanai. We're also now available on X, formerly known as Twitter. It's at Agribusiness 110. Also follow us on LinkedIn, Wadzanai Manyore. Now, earlier on, before into the break, Maree here was telling us of how they do their dipping, the dipping schedule, and even the tactics they employ to ensure that dipping is successful and we do not have disease resistance. We are here in the second segment. Maree, thank you for staying with us.
Thanks, Wadzanai. That was the dipping. Because this is so close, I just thought I'd show you what you can do with the MASHONA. People have a misconception that it's small and not grown out. Well, if you leave your cattle in the corral until 10 in the morning, whatever breed they are, they will be small and not grown out.
They'll lose weight.
Yeah, it's all about nutrition. So these ones was keeping them for bulls, and then they didn't meet my requirements. So my son-in-law has maize, and he's very much a Nyama man, and so we've put them in here. We were going to slaughter one today. He's already 440 kgs. When they get to 420 kgs, they can be slaughtered at the abattoir, and they would go super.
Okay.
Okay, and it's great meat. It's the fat is in the muscle. Okay, so it's not a layer of fat at the top. Very tender and juicy.
Okay.
It's absolutely lovely.
In terms of the feed that is in the trough,
Yep.
I can say that it's a hay. What else do you incorporate in that to ensure that you reach your 420 kilogram target?
Well, when we introduce them to the feed, we do it slowly over about 12 days, so we include a lot of hay. We don't, at this stage, we don't include a lot of hay.
Okay.
And it's a recipe that we've had that basically from the cattle manual, nothing clever. It uses maize. Obviously, if you're going to buy in maize, you might very well hesitate. But if it's on your farm and your son-in-law likes his nyama, then it's not a problem. Yeah. So that's and as they keep on putting on weight, so we increase the food.
Thank you so much. Now, Maree, let us look at this section. I can tell that each and every cow has a tag on its ear. Could you maybe talk to us in terms of the details on the tag? What does it resemble, as well as introducing this section of your head?
Yes, Watson, as a pedigree breeder, we register our animals. So they need two forms of identification. I use a big ear tag and a small ear tag. Other people will brand the numbers on their cattle, and I've got some cattle that I brought in from another farmer, and they branded the numbers.
Okay.
So I know by looking at my tag the year it was born, the sire, so I have single herds when I put the bull in, so I know who the daddy is. And I've also started putting in the mother's number on the tag as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and longevity is very much talked about these days. I've just slaughtered an old cow that was 2009. So she was 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It
so
had a lengthy life.
It is, and it would indicate that she's highly fertile because you want a calf each year. You do get mistakes quite often. The mistake could be mine by not having them in a paddock where there's enough food or not keeping an eye on it, or it could be the mother missing.
Okay.
So depending on that, you might give them one chance, and then after that it's the butcher. Okay, so you need to have animals that produce.
Now, Maree, looking at the trees that we have within this section, this crow, understands that there is a history or a background to the purpose that they serve when the head is in here. Can you talk to us in terms of these trees, what they serve, nutritional value, etc.?
Okay, this is Acacia cerebrana, and the pods, when they're dry, are a very good source of protein. So you will find that the grass underneath the Acacia cerebrana is very rich in nutrients, and the cattle will come every day and search for those pods that have fallen down. And in fact, I'm thinking where I'm putting my 22 girls, I will go and get a long pole and start beating them down.
Oh,
Okay,
so that they can have something to chew on.
Well, they do. They patrol basically, and it's very. People also get village people to collect them, and then they pay them per kg.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very good source of protein, and people often say, "Oh, I can't afford to feed my cattle during winter." Number one, you can't afford not to, and number two, you can get the acacia ceberata, you can get the monkey bread, you can get the Chinese lantern. So there are things in the bush that you can
Make use of?
make use of. I also put out winter maintenance blocks.
Oh, okay.
And we will put out our barley straw, then our sunflower cake, and put molasses mixed with salt on top of that. We weigh once a month and body score conditioning. So there's a chart you can look at. And so if you're falling, if you can start seeing your ribs, hokoyo,
You have an issue.
You need to be jumping around. You've missed the boat.
Oh, okay.
So we watch how they present.
Okay. Now, Maree, as we close this segment, just a brief synopsis of this section. What is it comprised of? Maybe the size, is the expected size or the age of the cattle, roughly, of the cattle we have in here?
They would range from, there's a couple of 2012s and then 13, 14, 15. So it's across the age gap. Yeah, we're trying to maintain these animals in very good body condition, because once they calve down, the body condition that they were in dictates whether they get pregnant
Again.
So you know, like you have to work at your winter in the winter. And the MASHONA's a beautiful feminine cow. And
okay.
she has capacity. So I call it a kneading and breeding machine.
Okay.
Okay, so there's not big legs, but she is very feminine, and she has great capacity.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving us a detailed presentation on this section. On that note, viewers, we've come to the end of the second segment. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in that third and final segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. We are here in the third and final segment, and as I've alluded to earlier on, I am coming to you today from Macheke, Mashonaland East. We are at BLUEGUMS farm, where they are undertaking livestock production as a formidable business. Maree, we are here in the third and final segment. I would like you to introduce this section of the herd that is comprising of bulls. What is it like? The age, maybe the expected weight? What is it like in this section?
As you can see, these are full grown out bulls. We test our bulls every year before they go into the cow herd, and we also test bulls that are for sale. So they'll weight wise, they keep growing. This is a problem when if you were to take your bull to the National Bull Sale as a 2-year-old, and you've got all the bigger breeds, so they don't think the MASHONA is
big enough.
But as you can see, it's a very sturdy animal. So they must be masculine. Bulls have to be masculine, good capacity.
Okay.
Top line has to be, you don't want to see a dip down.
Okay. On the back?
On the back, yeah. The tail needs to be long. It's like a lion's tail, ideally. It's got a brush on the end, and that's used to flick anything that goes on the skin. Most of mine are polled, which means that they're born with no horns.
Okay.
We do get horns, and we take them off as early as possible.
Okay, you do not even wait for a certain season. Some farmers say, you know what, we do horn our cattle during the winter season, but with you here, the case is whenever you see a bit of emergence at the head, you take them off.
Yeah. It makes it easier on the animal.
Yeah.
Okay. You do also get spurs, which the second bull along, that's not horn, it's spurs, so they move. Okay, so
Oh.
we don't need to take those off.
Okay, but now, Marie, I want us to talk about the process of deworming in cattle. Just looking at this section, you do have a very healthy breed and a healthy head, by the way. Can you talk to us in terms of deworming? What is the process here and how do you do it? And maybe the advantages that come with deworming.
Okay, if it's a particularly wet season and there's been a lot of rain and you've got mothers with calves, we may well deworm those calves in January. Okay. Last year we didn't have much rain, so there was no. I didn't deworm. We deworm at weaning. We wean at 7 months, and liver fluke we do in November.
Okay. Now, Marie, I want us to look at your security and even general management of your cattle and your livestock. I understand that you also have fields of wheat and barley. How are you managing your herd to ensure that at times they do not end up in the wheat field, in the midst of the wheat field? What are your mechanisms or your tactics that you've put in place to ensure that your herd or your cattle are where they are supposed to be at a given time?
That's a very good question, Wads and I. A few years ago we were using electric fences. We were busy still farming, and then now we're no longer in control. We decided that for family relations, we've been fencing a lot.
Okay.
Because I can't afford to have my cattle supplementing themselves on my son-in-law's
Sweet or barley.
and yeah, they're clever. You know, they'll watch what's happening. So yeah, we've put in fences, and you know that's for us works very well.
Okay. Finally, as we close, Marie, what would you be taking stock of when it comes to record keeping, and just emphasize on the importance of having records of each cattle that is here?
Okay, you have to have ear tags or some form of identification. You know, some people say, "Oh, I know all my cattle
by head."
Well, you know what? It's a lot easier if it's got a tag on or it's got its number on. So that shows that you're accounting. We weigh once a month. That gives us an indication straight away of sick animals.
Okay.
And then we will record for the animals this year. So when a mother has a calf, it will be recorded in a book. We put the sire, we put the weight of the calf, the colour, and it starts at 2401 up until we finish for the year. Also too, when you look at your records, you see the animals that are born in the first 6 weeks. That's important.
Okay.
They're your most fertile mothers. Okay, so your records tell the story. Okay, and without them, you're perhaps guessing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marie, for affording us this esteemed opportunity of visiting your premises and giving a detailed presentation to our audience there at home. For some reason, people are now more interested in investing in livestock production, and as such, you came in handy and imparting knowledge to the Zimbabwean farmer. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Watson. It's really great to have you here and to be able to showcase the MASHONA, which I think you know, as Zimbabweans, need to stand up and look at them and say, yeah, this animal has a part to play.
There you had it, viewers. From me, your host for the name, I'm coming to you from BLUEGUMS farm in Macheke. It was a pleasure having you with us today. I'm also on Instagram, it's Edwardzi110, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.